I'm trying to come up with a cute nickname for him, but I can't think of one. Which ones do you like being called? Thank you in advance. Story 1. She calls me Moneybags. It's kind of hilarious. The first time she did it, the waiter heard her, and he asked, "Did she just call you Moneybags?" It was ingrained after that. Story 2. My girlfriend calls me her prince, and it makes me melt and feel like I'm one of a kind. She told me, "I also call you Sugar. You like that too, right that?" Story 3. I like Spider-Man, and my girlfriend is a redhead and sometimes says, "Face it, Tiger, you just hit the jackpot." Like Mary Jane said when she first went out with Peter Parker. And I love it even more than she knows. Story for whatever fits, and sometimes one forms over time. There's a lot of factors, and sometimes you have to keep throwing them at the wall and seeing what sticks. My girlfriend and her lady friends use pretty much everyone in the book, and I have learned to accept that I'm a cutie patootie. Story 5. My wife's nickname is Cat, and she calls me Mew. She used to do little purrs and play pounce on me when it was fun time. We've been together 20 years. That play faded after our child was born, but the nickname stuck. Story 6. I don't have a partner yet, but I like being called Rodent Man. Just thought I'd share. I don't know what to put here, so Duel 1971, vroom vroom. Story 7. I've been considering a nickname for my new boyfriend. We've been together for 10 months, but nothing really sticks. I am very conscious of avoiding pet names my recent ex-husband and I used, like, Sweetie, Dear, Sherry. Those just feel wrong. Honey, or his name with a Y at the end. Kind of like Morgie or Coley, which he doesn't mind. He doesn't call me anything ever. That's not his thing. Story 8. When my girlfriend and I started dating, I told her my sisters always associated me with a panda since I'm big and burly, always sleepy, and quite clumsy. She calls me Pandy. As for her, I told her she looked like a bunny, so I call her my Bun Bun. Personally, I like teasing her by calling her Sweetheart or My Love. These seem quite genuine, as I use them because I love her so much. Hope it helps. Story 9. Not a girlfriend, but her circle. They all had animal names for each other to describe their personalities. When I began dating her, they took a liking to me. As I was the only man in the group, they gave me a male animal, a rooster. But the one referred to me as a kind rooster. Story 10. Cute stuff. I reply, cuter stuff. She replies, cutest stuff. I reply, super cutest stuff. Then something like, super's cutest stuff. The exaggerations continue until one of us gives up. It's a fun game we play. Story 11. Handsome, beautiful, sweetie, my man. Sweet pea, cutie, darling, love, my love. Those are just a few, but they are my favorites. My man is a particular favorite. Story 12. Moi Muru, which is Finnish for my crumb, or, if she's feeling extra endearing, moi kulta muru, which means golden crumb. So kind of like, my golden nugget. I love it so much. Story 13. It's kindergarten level juvenile, but after 10 years we've, for some reason, sort of just devolved into calling each other a complete nonsense word. Normally one that we try to make sound like some sort of imaginary slur or insult, and try to come up with a new one every time, such as stankus, gunkles, papagrease, or garglo. Naturally, never when anyone else can hear. Story 14. My girlfriend is Indonesian, so we often call each other sayong, love, or sintaku/sayangku, my love. However, more often than not, it's daddy and baby girl. We met in the kink community, and those terms were used initially and have now stuck. However, they're not super public friendly. Story 15. Girlfriend has called me babe for so long that whenever she calls me by my actual name, it sounds unnatural. It's like when my longtime gamer buddies call me by my real name rather than my gamer tag. Story 16. Gay dude here, we call each other dog. Like, dog, can you come down and help with the groceries? Love you, dog. Or my favorite, dog, I got you some of your favorite beers. Story 17. I typically end up dating outside of my race. While sometimes they're second or third generation migrants and don't speak a different language, they're often first generation with a different native language. I generally enjoy pet names from their native language, as learning about their culture helps me feel closer to them. Generic ones like Pogi or Mahal, Filipino, Shingon or Liangzai, Hong Kong and China, are nice, but I prefer when they're more specific. For example, I can eat a kilo of strawberries in one sitting, and a girl I dated who moved over from Hong Kong used to joke about me turning into one if I kept eating that many. Then one day, she started calling me with chow mei, my strawberry. In terms of English, Daddy will make my anxiety retreat inside of me, never to see the light of day in your presence. Keep that unresolved trauma away from me. I am not a fan of baby. Babe is marginally better, or sweetie or honey. Again, I prefer stuff that's more bespoke than stuff I've heard thousands of times in the street or songs. Story 18, we do this thing back and forth that I like where she calls me gorgeous and I call her handsome, and it makes me smile just because it's like flipping gender roles and I think it's cute. Story 19, no, but for real, I don't get to veto any name she gives. Lamb chop, Pookie, Plumpsy, that one is not all of me, just a part. I hate it desperately. Story 20, my uncle calls his wife the warden. He has a cell door sliding closed as the text tone and prison sirens as her ringtone. Needless to say, she is obviously very unhappy about all of this. Story 21. I call him Mr. Companion and Bo. Bo is extra funny to me because his nickname in high school and college was Boner. So now I write it as Boner. Story 22. My name is hard for people to pronounce for some reason, so it makes me happy to hear him say my name correctly and often. He got huge bonus points for saying it correctly on our first date. Story 23. She typically calls me by my last name, but so does everyone else. She also calls me babe and will sometimes say, "Hello there, handsome." I get dear or love pretty often and shithead, to which I correct her and say, "It's pronounced she-feed." Story 24. She calls me dick heavy. I like it, but it was embarrassing at first when she called me that in front of friends and family. Now they call me dick heavy, and I've kind of gotten used to it. Story 25. I mean, there are the typical hun or my name or space cadet. On the specific to us, I am occasionally called Muscles or Tiny Titan because I am on the shorter side and throw stuff around 2 to 3 times my weight with minimal fuss. Story 26. Honey sounds good when we get older. At the start of the relationship, probably just love or babe is fine with me. But I also like a first name basis. This would depend on their accent, though, and how they say it. Story 27. My wife calls me Sayong, which is Malay for dear, darling, sweetheart, or love. It has become a daily term of affection. She also calls me mi amor, since I'm of Hispanic origin. It makes me feel all gooey inside. Story 28. She calls me honey, my love, my life partner, baby, babito, poppy. I call her honey, my love, my life partner, baby, bebida, mommy, my sexy submissive dream housewife, my Mexican princess, and most recently added my sex maid and my loyal freak. Story 29, bitch, and before you say anything, well, okay, I can't really think of anything someone might say about that isn't valid, but I don't mean in a degrading way and not every single day kind of thing, just randomly catch you off guard, said in a silly voice or accent, followed by mutual laughter. Story 30. I told her I was a fan of Muppet Babies, and she called the first name to tease me, and it stuck and evolved. Story 31. In my previous relationship, I invented a word in German because we spoke German to each other. It was Babychen. That is actually a baby, but in German, there is a suffix that you can add to a word, and it makes the word cuter or smaller. But I've never heard from a German that says Babychen. I liked it a lot when she called me Babychun. Just kill me. Story 32. The key is not letting her know the nickname you don't like. You know that stupid nickname your uncle or grandmother gave you that no one calls you because they know trouble will get stirred up at the family gathering. That one that gets on your last nerve. Yeah, she will use that one. Story 33. My creative names tend to be for my cats, such as Catagalii and Meowdizen, real name Madison, are my favorites. As far as my boyfriend, anything that is meaningful to him. Story 34. In my relationship, my man calls me squishy, partly because of Overwatch and partly because I used to be insecure about my body type. I'm not large, but curvy, and he calls me squishy because it makes me feel cute. I call my man Noodle because he's tall and skinny, so he's noodly. I keep in mind traits that can be used as terms of endearment. Story 35. Being called babe makes me sick. I am a 31-year-old male. My ex-girlfriend, who was a great girlfriend, used to call me love. I really liked it, but I personally felt that the word was used too frequently and the weight of its meaning faded. Story 36. I don't even know how it happened, but we literally call each other buddy. We rarely use each other's names anymore. She's my buddy and I'm hers. Throughout the house, you'll just hear, "Hey, buddy, you in there? Yeah, buddy, I'm over here." Story 37. If I end up with an astronaut, I'll call him Rocket Man. High featuring Elton John is one of my favorites. If I end up with an architect, Bay the Builder. A businessman, Mr. Potscrapper. A prince, Flynn Rider. I haven't imagined other scenarios yet, but I have used Sugar, Bay, Honey Buns, Mango, Prince Charming. I need to find another one perhaps from a different alternate reality because clearly, Story 38, we aren't a thing, but I've started giving pet names to my friends. He's a very kind and gentle person, but rather shy and more sensitive than he wants to admit. And somehow my brain sort of just spat out Dove for him. He hadn't said anything, but he also knows I'm really weird. Edited to add, I am not male and I am curious how well this holds up. I call my South African friend Baby, just because he had never heard it used as a pet name. And in his deepest voice he was like, I am not a baby, I am big strong man. One of my British friends is Sweet Cheeks. So you can see the pattern here. Story 39. My advice would be to think of an endearing quality that he has and then come up with a cute name for that quality. Every time you say it, it will help remind you why you are with him and remind him to keep doing that thing you find endearing. Story 40. I call her, baby, my dear, my darling, my love, sweetness, sweetheart, Kenna Koala. She is American and going to move here soon. She calls me Tank, my nickname, baby, Tistic lover boy, my love, sweetheart, sweetness, Joshy Bear. Story 41. I keep waiting for a friend of mine to get in trouble for the combination of compliment and backhanded compliment, the home office, because it both elevates to a position of authority on the surface but has just enough hint of clerical support that I've been waiting for it to backfire for some time. I've also seen Supreme Leader used in a nod to Iranian despotism. All tongue-in-cheek and said affectionately, mind you. Story 42. John. That's with a hard J and originates from Persian. It can mean anything from pulse to life, my love, the will to move and live, to giving it your all, and in the context of two people who love each other, it means my love. It's been 20 years, and I haven't tired of being called by that. I call her by the same name. Story 43. An older female friend of mine used to affectionately call people dear one, especially if she was being very gently sarcastic or admonishing. I always thought it was sweet and a bit unique, so I often call my man this. I also call him babe, sweetheart, and sweetie pie. My family is originally from the American South, so there are a lot of food reference nicknames. My parents always used to call me Peaches. At the beginning of the relationship, my guy was very into cute names for me, but it is rare these days. However, I still very occasionally get called babe, my dear, my love, sweetie, darling, and beautiful. He is a lot more free with flowery language after a few drinks. He also likes to call me blowjob queen, so there is that. Story 44. It ranges from Mimi, Abu, Marshmallow, and Pookie Bear to Big Guy, Malik, Tall Glass of Water, to Mr. Big, Mall, and Daddy. He loves them all. Story 45. My husband is called Daddy in a nasally ultra-femme voice. It started with the kids at the store who kept asking for stuff. So I started laughing and asking him too. They stopped immediately when I started calling him Daddy. And it has continued ever since. Ah, nothing like some good old childhood trauma to brighten your day. Story 46. Interesting. I have been called many cute names, all fun and adorable. But the one I like the most is my monster. She wasn't implying that I was scary, ugly, too big, too tall, or even angry. She said, "You're my monster because if anyone or anything poses a danger to her, I would destroy them fearlessly in the worst and most excruciating way possible." She was right, though. Story 47. I get called Mouse, which I didn't like much at first, but it's really grown on me, especially after he explained why. Also, Darling is something he doesn't call me often, but I love it so much. Story 48. I call my husband Papikong or Pinky. When we met, I'd ask what he was doing later that evening, and the response was always, trying to take over the world. I don't know why I didn't use brain, and Papikong is his no-no spot. Story 49. I never call my wife by her name. She's always Little Bug. Unless, of course, I'm talking to someone about her. Though if I'm telling a story in which I refer to her by name in context, it's still Bug. For example, if I'm telling a story about something absurd that she said, and my reply in the moment was, "What are you talking about, Bug?" then that's what I will use when recounting the story to someone else. She calls me Bear. Story 50. My partner and I call each other Beano. It started a few months after we first started going out. We have been together for 6 years now, and we just thought the word bean was funny, so we started calling each other that. Since then, it's become Beano, and it's weird when we don't address each other like that now. Story 51. Short stack is my favorite. Playing sports growing up, I was by far the shortest kid on each team I played on. A lot of coaches called me short stack, which is very stereotypical, but it stuck. I brought my girlfriend around some of my friends, and as soon as she heard me get called by it, it instantly became her nickname for me.